What is going on, beautiful people? Welcome to a live chat going live here in a few minutes. Waiting on my man Kyle to get on here. So, if you don't know, I'm a self-aware narcissist. My name is Lee Hammock. I'm aka Mr. Mental Healness. The guy who I'm inviting on here in a few minutes, his name is Kyle. He's from, I think, St. Louis, and he is a male victim of female narcissistic, abuse and things of that nature. So I'm going to invite him on here in a second to get this thing started. Just wait for him to go live, and there he goes, right there. What is going on, man?
Yo, what's up, Lee?
What's going on? Good to see you. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man.
Just had to go show a house real quick in about 35 minutes. Yeah, I had to go about 35 minutes from the house. I was like, damn it, I'm going to try to fly home and whatnot. But here now, so what is going on? Like I said, trying to give a few more people a chance to click on here. Yeah. So how things going for you, though, man?
Great, dude. I've been moving into a new place all weekend. So I now have my new apartment, which I had like the 2-week span that my narcissist and I got back together. I moved her into my apartment. And so now that I have this apartment, I'm fully clear. I have no memories of anybody in here, so I get to create a nice, positive atmosphere. It's it's beautiful.
Yeah,
how's life for you?
I was going pretty good. Like I said, just running around. Been battling on Instagram today with a few other narcissists. Actually, it's kind of hilarious. Yeah, I'm triggering other narcissists because I'm becoming ableist.
Yeah, that's because you're calling out their bad behavior and they can't get away with that shit anymore.
It's like you're so ableist. I'm like, huh? No, seriously. Like, you're just enabling the behavior. You're just enabling people to stigmatize narcissists. I'm just doing skits about how I've been treating my family and friends. If this triggers you, then you are doing the exact same thing. You feel called out. Like, time to make some changes.
That's exactly what it comes down to. They feel very called out and they feel threatened because they're like, don't you call me a narcissist? I'm not a narcissist. The typical thing. They want to refute every contemplation of their good character.
Yeah, I mean, some of these people, but some of these are like, they're others like self-aware narcissists like myself. They have been diagnosed and stuff, and they feel like I'm stigmatizing them. But what are you doing to affect change though? Like, you're not affecting change. Like, meme pages, private pages, one follower, sharing cat memes and stuff like that. Like, you're not affecting change by sharing memes. Like, nobody cares what you're sharing. You know what I mean? But apparently, I have to show my face. My face is out there, so I'm a target for them. I think some of them are just jealous because they can't put their face out there. They have to feel like they need to hide behind cat memes and other things, But it's all good. Like,
I bet you it's honestly just a tool for them to be able to gain clout from people that they know by being like, yo, check out my Instagram page with all these memes. I've got like 1 million followers. I'm so cool, man. Mm-hmm. It's gotta be.
Yeah, I'm not demonizing myself. Like, I'm just showing you. I'm like,
of course.
The skits that you see I do, those are, not all of them. Some of them are inspired from comments and stuff like that. But a lot of the skits that I do are just stuff that I've actually said and done to my wife and kids and stuff like that. So I'm trying to, I've had other self-aware narcissists reach out to me. Like, other narcissists reach out to me like, hey man, I don't want to be like that skit you did resonated with me. I don't want to treat my wife like that no more. What do I need to do?
Exactly. Yeah. That's the thing that's always hilarious is, sometimes, like, I had this experience first when I was listening to Matt Pfeiffer talk about shit, and he was kind of opening my eyes to stuff. And then I listened to Jackson McKenzie's Whole Again, and I was listening to these stories. I literally had to go check when the book Whole Again was written, because I was like, did you write this about my ex and I? Like, some of the conversations that they had, just like your skits, some of those conversations, I'm like, the wording on this is far too accurate, like down to the exact phrases. It's messed up. So I'm glad that you put that shit out there because it calls people out like no other.
Yeah, those skits. It takes me literally about 45 seconds to shoot a skit because it's just coming from the top of my brain. I'm just like, boop, 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 boop.
See, that's the gnarly thing about that, dude. That's why you and other people blow up like that, because you can produce that stuff and I can think about it. If I do like a video, I think about it throughout the entire day. Sometimes it takes me multiple days because I'm like, I don't want to misproduce this. I don't want to put something out there that does not have a fully accurate way of articulating it. So I don't put out a lot of content.
But even if you fully articulate it, people are going to take it the way they want to take it. Like, wait,
They
you
always
mean
do.
this? Yeah, the stuff I say, you know what I mean? Like, is this the self-aware narcissist? No, I'm a self-aware narcissist. Mr. On a healing journey, Mr. Kyle over here is actually a victim of a woman narcissist, a female narcissist. So we're going to get his take on things today. He's going to tell you his story, how he deals with things. He actually co-parents with a narcissist as well. So I know a lot of people. I think people on my page think I have become like a male feminist. Like I'm just out here bashing men and stuff like that. Like I do the male perspective because I am in fact a man. I can't do a woman's perspective.
I think that's the most profound way that you can make impact too, because if you're able to expose a wide variety of things that male narcissists do on a regular basis, the more content you put out there, that covers the base of like the male half of people with NPD.
Yeah.
And that's huge. And you may even see that there's a lot of females that may tread more water into like borderline and having stuff like that. Like that water can get really, really kind of muddy. And you don't know whether they have NPD or BPD, and there's minute differences and stuff that, like, if people don't know that, you can talk about it. But knowing both sides of things is really valuable, because the female narcissists can just get away with murder in a lot of cases.
Yeah. So somebody asked in the comment section, does he have kids, or does his ex? How does he cope? He actually has a son, correct?
Yeah, I've got a 3-year-old boy, and I had it with her. Had him with her, excuse me. Someone's gonna mistake that. He said it. He's a terrible father.
Yeah. So yeah, he has a 3-year-old son with his ex, narcissistic. Yeah. Y'all were never married or engaged or anything like that, were you?
Never married. So what the situation with that brief little story is, I proposed and I said, hey, will you marry me? And I was like, we both agreed immediately, like, let's not do the actual legal marriage. Let's just say we both said yes. Let's just call each other husband and wife and just call it a day. And that way anybody can leave if they need to, and not have to go through the divorce. So that ended up fully working in my favor in the end.
Yeah.
But no, not legally married, thank goodness.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so you feel like you dodged the bullet right there.
Massive bullet.
So somebody asked in the chat, like, can you trick a narcissist into therapy? No, you can't. You can't do that. You're more likely to end up in therapy because of the narcissist than you are to trick a narcissist into going to therapy. And then, like, if you trick them into going to therapy, they're not really going to therapy for themselves. They're going to therapy because you tricked them to, and like that could backfire on you. Like. Yeah,
it could backfire on you, and you can trick a narcissist into a lot of things. If you are cunning enough and you become a lot of people that are victims, not survivors, which is a big distinction to make. You sometimes don't get enough exposure to your narcissist to be able to gain and weaponize and get a very firm handle on how to deal with them. I was forced to. I had multiple exchanges every day, all throughout the week. I had to see her. Some days we would exchange him 3 times a day, and it was her chosen schedule at first. But the thing about that was I went through a huge pressurization, of having to figure this shit out. It was a ton of pressure. It was a ton of, toxicity, and I had to navigate that. So I became, the triggers became lesser, and my understanding of things became so much more clear, and I was so much more able to be able to deal with that when it was my son's birthday in March and we were going to share a celebration, she went into cyclical arguments. She was gaslighting. She was trying to manipulate, deflect, dodge, and everything else. And I was able to sit there and I'm like, you're deflecting. That's a dodge. You are circling in the same argument. I already answered that. And you can do this so quickly on the fly. But the point that I'm making is that a lot of people that are victims, not survivors, is that they spend all of this time, you do the right thing, which is go no contact. But because you have no exposure to your narcissist and your abuser, if they come back in after 9 months, a year later, and it's your first real exposure to them again, boom, right back in the mix.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's so tough for a lot of people.
Yeah. So how do you, you say you and I've been watching your story for a very, very long time. I remember the TikTok you used to post about exchanging him, a few times a day. What's your schedule like now with her, and how did you get to that point of like the schedule?
Yeah, so what we do now is 232. It was a suggestion that I made about 9 months ago. And it only came to full fruition once I was taking her back to court. And we got into mediation, and the mediator was a no BS. This dude doesn't mess around. He completely stuck her in her place. There's a lot that I could say about that, but that's not the point. We do 232 Monday, Tuesday, person A, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, person B, Saturday, Sunday, person A. Alternate. And we exchange at 8 p.m. at night, so that way we get him, we take him home, he goes to sleep. The next 2 days, good to go. And we also did something because I had a long battle with her about her saying, nope, you're going to meet me at this location in order to get him. Otherwise, you're not going to get him at all. So I told the mediator when we went back, and that was a part of my court plea, was that she forces me to go to places. The mediator said, cool, so here's what we're going to do. Whoever's about to have that kid, you go to their house, go pick them up. No discussions whatsoever about where to meet now. Go pick them up if you want the kid. And I was like, I'm good with that.
Yeah. So how did you get to that point, though? I know originally you didn't have a mediator. Y'all were just kind of making the schedule yourselves. So the mediator
she made the schedule. So she made that schedule, the initial one that was in our initial court order. I didn't know enough. I was not strong enough at the time. I was still... what I tell a lot of people, because I do more conversations behind my TikToks than I do actually talking on TikTok. I tell people when you're with the narcissist, it's a lot like being in a tornado. You're just outside the eye of the storm. The narcissist keeps you in the center of the storm where it's nice and calm for a minute. That's the love bombing and idealization phase. But then you get to the devaluing and you're back in the tornado flying around. So when you escape the narcissist, you've finally been ejected from the tornado. You're confused as all get up. And you have to take a while to recover from that. It took me about 3 months to get my head straight. So during that time, we had settled because she was keeping my son from me. And so I settled on a schedule that was up to basically her desires. And I got him, when I wasn't working and whatnot. But the situation with that happened is that she started changing the schedule because after 8 months of not working, she finally got a job. And then she was like, we're doing this schedule. And I didn't agree to that anyways. She said, no, this is what we're doing. End of discussion. No talking whatsoever. And so I documented that, and I document everything. I've got tons of Google Docs and, notes and everything. And so I noticed, document like no other. And so I noticed really early on, right around that time where she got the first job and she was trying to change schedules, I was like, screw this. I found somebody's post, I think on Reddit, where they said, look, your texts and emails aren't going to hold up in court. You better get them on some sort of available application. So I said, okay, I'm going to use her tactics and I'm going to manipulate the fuck out of her to get her on Talking Parents. And so I did. And I said, you have to start work on Monday. It was like a Thursday or something like that. And so I said, okay, I will respond to you on Talking Parents. I've sent you an invite, and we're only going to discuss the schedule on Talking Parents. So I suggest you join. And so I shut down, blocked email, blocked text, blocked phone, and then we started talking about that. But anyways, back to what you had asked. With that schedule and whatnot, I had to take her back to court for a lot of different things. She was in contempt in a lot of ways, and she was extremely verbally abusive. The post-separation abuse was super large at this time. And so I had enough documentation for my attorney to basically say, look, we can fire this away. The judge is going to be pissed. And so we were doing that, and she ended up somehow acquiring the money for an attorney, which still financially doesn't make sense to me. But she did that, and her attorney said, look, we'll delay the court case by about 2 months so we can gather time to prepare. And so in that time, the judge was like, look, you need to go to mediation. Before you guys ever come here, try mediation. So we scheduled that, and that's when the mediator did his thing of being completely unbiased, doesn't take any BS. And I sat quiet for the most of that time, and then he did his thing.
So the Talking Parents app, that's a really good communication thing. I've seen come up a lot of times when I'm talking to narcissists and things, like people dealing with narcissists, like Talking Parents. Like, that's an app. Like, that's not court ordered. That's something you can download, and I think you have to pay for it a little bit. It's like $120 or something.
Yeah, so you pay $12.99 a month. You could split that between the two of you. So there's Our Family Wizard, there's Talking Parents. There's one that I now use, which is called CoParenter, which I believe is superior to all of them. But the problem with CoParenter is that you don't have a web application. So if you're somebody who works on your computer all day, you can't sit there and type on it like you can with Talking Parents. So it's kind of just whatever. But Talking Parents is an application that you can buy, and it's just a $12.99 subscription.
Okay, so I think that's a good app to have too, because I've seen other like survivors and things like that, say that app kind of helps like bring the narcissist down a little bit, because you can't, everything's recorded, everything, all the calls and texts, everything is recorded, so you can't verbally abuse them, you can't say some BS, and you can't say some BS to them. Yeah, you can, but it's recorded.
You are going to be held accountable if that person is capable of coming up with the attorney retainer fees to take you to court. You are screwed if you use CoParenter, Talking Parents, Our Family Wizard, and they want to pop off. Cool, feed them enough rope to hang themselves.
Yeah. So it says somebody has that. So you mentioned earlier the tornado analogy. I use that when I'm doing my one-on-ones with people. I use that like when you deal with a narcissist, you are actually in a tornado, and like sometimes in the eye of the storm is so calm, but when you get out of the eye of the storm, sometimes you're gonna get hit by debris. The debris starts hitting you and stuff like that. So I've used it. And that's a good analogy. I've used that analogy before a lot of times, because like I said, people like stories like that, stories like yours, I think people see it and they hear it. Like people need to hear your story. People see my story, they hear my story. I've amassed a nice little following from that story, but like everybody's story is unique. And I like I said, I like your story is like, you got the man perspective, of going through what you have went through with a woman narcissist. Because that's why I feel like I needed to get you on here, because people are literally blowing my inbox up and commenting, you're just a man-hating feminist and this. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Not true whatsoever.
Like, how? So that's why I wanted to get you on here, because like your story, because yours is still ongoing. And I've seen like you post videos of like your healing process, like the guy in the gym you talk to and stuff like that. Like stuff like that is powerful to me. I'm like, damn, I couldn't do it because I know my rage and I'm not there yet. So I'm like, to the point where you did that. I don't know if you feel comfortable telling that story. The point where you did that, and you talked to that guy, and you actually got some healing, some closure from that. I thought that was super powerful. Like, damn, I was clapping when I clapped when I saw it.
Because, it was really crazy. So I just to kind of briefly cover that story. So I walked in there that day, and I was sitting there, and I walked over to my gym's Olympic lifting, squat racks, and all that stuff area, and I was just getting ready to do some Olympic lifting. And so I'm setting all my stuff up. I hit my few warm up sets, and you catch those laser eyes where you're just like, somebody is looking at me, and I don't know who. So I look around the gym in between a set, and all of a sudden I catch eyes with this dude, and I'm like, why do you look familiar? And, I remember briefly what that guy looked like, just because I looked him up just to see if did I recognize him on her Snapchat or anything like that? Like, how long did she keep him in the garage waiting? So I saw this guy, and I did a triple take, and I noticed he was kind of looking at me a couple times. And so I went on Facebook, and I was like, I type in his name, and I look, and I go, that's him. Holy shit. So I walk over to him after another set, and I was like, look, I'm Ezra's father. You were with Taylor, blah, blah, blah. And we talked for a brief moment. And I was like, I just want to thank you for freeing me. You have no idea the amount of abuse and stuff that I went through with her. You don't need the whole story, but I really appreciate you a ton for having her over that night, unbeknownst to you that she was with me. And he goes, I had no idea you guys were married. And I was like, yeah. So we were full committed relationship. She was living with me and everything. And he's like, I had no idea. I would have never had her over. She presented herself as a single female. And so I basically thanked him, and he said, it's no problem, man. His face the entire time was just like, what? Because I think he was on edge, thinking that maybe I'd bust his lip open or something. But, that's not how I operate. I don't, she had hit me, pushed me in all sorts of stuff in the relationship. She put a hole in the wall, and I don't lay hands on anybody. If it's not a dude who needs his ass beat doing something really bad, I'm not doing it.
That's me.
Yeah, so after that whole incident, I finished my set. I was on a high. I couldn't even finish my workout. So I went out to my car, and I started crying about it, because I was, the emotional and stress relief of just being able to be like, wow, I literally got to thank him. Because I had thought when after I'd gone through a bit of my healing journey and whatnot, that I was like, I would really like to thank him one day. Even if she's still with him, I don't care. But so I cried, and then I made that video and, talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, I saw that video, and I was like, damn. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, like, so Do you ever, because you are a man dealing with a woman narcissist, do you ever encounter people that think you are actually the narcissist, that you pushed her to her limits, like when she punched a hole in the wall and stuff like that? Do you ever get people to say, "Hey, what did you do to make her punch the hole in the wall?" Because women don't normally get to that point, you know. Because I feel like I see a lot of men coming out here now. So there's a few men on here that I see coming out saying that they are like, you know, victims of narcissistic abuse on the woman's side of things like that. And some of them are getting outed. They're like, there's one guy coming out now that he said he's a victim, and he's like got a GoFundMe started and everything like that. And his like ex-wife is inboxing me, Snapchatting me like photos of their divorce agreement and how he's $20,000 behind the Yeah. I don't
know. Is that Jesse?
That's his name and stuff. Yeah, but like, that's him. You know what I mean? That's what. So I've talked to her for a long time. So her and I are real good friends. I actually helped her a lot. I'm not trying to take any credit because she got herself out, but I've talked with her and helped her with some of the things that I've dealt with to get herself to be, you know, free and clear. And that dude, you know, we're not naming names or anything, but like that whole situation, it happens a lot. They sit there, they come out here and portray, oh, I've gone through narcissistic abuse, and I know her. I know her every conversation. There's not even an inkling of narcissism in her. She's super low on any narcissistic scale, and in fact, she could probably use some narcissism to save herself a little bit. So, but that is happening. So, you have a bunch of dudes that are finally coming out and talking about it, and the thing that people have to understand with that is that some of these stories aren't going to be real. Some of these are going to actually be the narcissist trying to get some clout and get his attention and his supply. But the same thing's happening on the female side. There are female narcissists, and maybe they could tread more on the BPD side, and they just, you know, we just don't know. We can't diagnose these people, so they fall on a cluster B side, and you know, they're talking about their experiences that they themselves have created, and you're dealing with more of like them explaining their reactive abuse story. You know, what they experienced because they abused the person and the person reactively abused them. And that's, now I got to talk about it on TikTok. No, you know, you can't really easily decipher these things until, you know, Sam talks about this all the time. We haven't watched them long enough to find the plot holes here where it doesn't make sense anymore. Yeah.
Because if you listen to whatever your story is or any other survivor's story, like I've recently listened to Gabby's stuff a whole bunch, there is consistency throughout the entire narrative. There's a level of empathy. There's a level of hurt. There's a level of like the interpersonal is so much deeper. And when you hear a narcissist explaining these things on their channels, when they're trying to present themselves as the victims, a lot of time it's only solely focused on what the other person did constantly. It's never about the connection. It's never, you know, there's that underlying empathy that's missing there.
Yeah. So, and that's why, you know, that's why I tell people too, because like, you know, I get the pushback on my page where people think that I'm an empath pretending to be a narcissist and things like that. And I tell people that all the time, like, it would be extremely easy for me to play your role. Cause I'm actually a very good actor. I can do that. You know, it would be extremely easy for me to come on here and say that I'm a victim and just say the stuff that I've done to my wife and to my kids. I can say that she did it to me. I can do that easily, you know. And I see people, as I said, I don't follow a lot of people on here just because I like to watch. Like you said, I like to watch people. And I like when that dude's name came up, who should not be named. I started watching his videos and I was like, he just seems disingenuous. He's sitting there watching the videos, like praying for GoFundMe money. He's like, I just want my kids and stuff like that. And then, you know, it's not
very
like
forced.
You know, you say you see my stuff. You know, I'm not part of like the call out culture. I would like if it comes to the point where I need to do stuff like that, I don't feel like his page is big enough for me to do stuff like that. I was just like, what does it matter? Love Good Alley. Those are the takedown pages. If they got you in their sights, they will they're coming for them. They're 100% coming for them. I know they are. I'm just like, keep posting your stuff. They are coming. I sent his videos to them. I was like, they are coming for you. They focus on some other fish right now, but like they are coming for you here pretty soon, buddy. Just keep doing what you're doing. Because like I said, that's why I know I'm good now. Because if I don't know if you watch Sam's her Instagram, what she's doing to that dude, Mike. Oh my God. I said, Sam,
he's getting destroyed.
Yeah. I said, Sam, if y'all did this to me. If y'all look, like, that's how I know I'm good. I like, because if y'all can do this to this guy, and y'all, I know y'all looked into my stuff to make sure I was legit. I'm good. I was like, I'm clear. But yeah, I want to have Sam on here one day to ask her. I'm just like, look, when you looked into my past, did you check my credit score? Because look, it's raised up since y'all checked it. It's raised up in the last year since I've been on TikTok. Exactly. Yeah.
That's one of those things that's really funny though, is when as the second you become a narc talk creator talking about narcissistic abuse or any really just narc abuse, but other abuse could fall into it. You put yourself in a spot where you are now capable of being completely destroyed. Should you really be a bad person doing bad things? Because you may be able to pull off that scheme for a while, but as soon as you get enough information out there, enough data for people to collect, like Sam, then they will call you out. And if you have enough people that you hurt, eventually your story will make it to the surface, and then your ass is grass. So when people get into the habit of like saying my story's false or saying, oh, what'd you do to make her put a hole in the wall? I'm like, look, if you can sit there and believe anything you want. You're only here to listen to what you want to see anyways. You want me to be an abuser because I'm a guy or I fit the bill for whatever you believe abusers should look like. And so I'm like, if I was really that wrong, I'll leave it to Narc Talk and other creators to just blast my ass and get me gone. I've not had anybody call me out whatsoever. And if they want to, feel free to go digging. That's fine. I'm open to criticism. Please let me know where I've messed up.
I'm saying, if you are doing it, Sam is coming. Somebody in my chat asked me. They asked me what my wife did to get me to go to therapy. My wife didn't other than calling me a narcissist, there's nothing that she did to get me to go to therapy. Like I said, it was literally an accumulation of terrible events in my life that kind of all met I call it the perfect storm of necessity to get me to go to therapy. Because I've always been like forward thinking. I've always been like forward progressive, like Tony Robbins, Les Brown, E.T. the hip hop preacher. I'm always listening to so much self-betterment and stuff like that, because I was always searching for answers on what was going on in my head. And then she called me a narcissist, and it all kind of made sense. Do I want to be a narcissist? No, I don't want to have a disorder in my brain that makes me feel different and think different. But I ended up going to therapy because and this is how I know I belonged in therapy. Like I say, I listen to a lot of books. I read a lot of books. There was a poem in this book about the storm. About going through a storm and the storm changes you and things like that. I had that saying as my screensaver, and I was sitting in the therapy, my first ever therapy appointment. I was sitting in a therapist's office, nervous, rubbing what's going to happen, how is this going to go, and I looked on the wall, and that poem was on the wall, and at that moment, I knew I belonged there. I'm supposed to be here. Like this poem that I'm living my life by is on the wall of this therapist's office. This is meant to be. And why does he bother? Why does who bother? Like, I don't understand. All I did was confront him about the cheating. Nothing makes sense. If you confront a narcissist about cheating, they if you have proof of cheating, you don't act on it. Just act on it. If you have proof, you can prove it. It's in your face, undeniable proof. Just act on it. Because if you go present it to the narcissist, they're going to gaslight you. They're going to manipulate you, and they're going to end up blaming you. Yeah, it'll never stick.
That's the big thing. That's the big thing about confronting a narcissist about their bad behavior, and especially when it comes to stuff like cheating, lying, defying court orders, what you've done or didn't do against a kid, using a child as manipulation. The big rule of thumb, I have many rules of thumbs when dealing with co-parenting with a narcissist or trying to call them out. One of which is you will never get an honest to God, I was wrong, I did something bad. They will never take responsibility, especially if they're higher on the spectrum. If you have somebody who's lower on the spectrum, thank goodness Lee is low enough on that to be you're diagnosable, sure, but you're low enough to be able to understand and see kind of where you're kind of missing a few elements. But you have people like my ex who are probably very high on the spectrum that are heavily covert too. The overts are a little different, but the coverts that you will never get an actual, taking accountability for their actions. They will deflect that. They will, diffuse it, and they will likely try to place it back upon you. So it's completely worthless to actually do that. You yourself in your head, if you know that they have cheated, and that's the big catalyst for me that ended everything, was you have to immediately separate right then and there and just get the hell out of the situation as soon as possible. Be willing to walk away with nothing more than the clothes and on your back, a pillow in the car, and be able to walk away. Because I will tell you, 1 year out from having done just that, I walked away with 5 things. It is far more beautiful of a life. I was so much happier, even after being tossed out of the tornado and trying to make sense of things, not knowing she was a narcissist. I would still choose that any day of the week over all that stuff. So if you find that somebody gives you enough of a catalyst, like cheating, to leave, gone, bye. Find better people, or at the very least, stay single, because it's a lot better being lonely than it is being abused.
Yeah. Did you ever did you ever find that she did any kind of, like, somebody in the comment section said, I tried separating and leaving. He sent me videos of his unaliving attempts. Did you ever get that? You ever get anything like that?
What videos of what?
Like, I don't know, like maybe kind of slit his wrist or a gun in his lap or something like that. They didn't get very specific.
I never got that. But I got many texts early on when we separated where she tried to play her sickness like she had done throughout the entire relationship. That's a tool that she used to be able to justify never working, to be able to justify, not doing anything once I was off work with our child, or not having sex, everything. You name it, she used her sickness to try to get out of it. And so she early on wanted to play on my heartstrings hardcore. And so what she did with that was she called me up and she texted me at one point crying, or she even showed up to some exchanges doing this. Oh gosh, I can't do it anymore. I'm so tired and I can't handle doing this all on my own. And there's no one to do this with me. And I don't have a job and I don't have money, all this stuff. Meanwhile, she's living with the dude who she cheated on me with, and like just making all these, they'll make this grand party of this grand show of all these horrible things that they're experiencing, and they're trying to play on your empathetic heart that they already know exists, because they played it for X amount of months or years anyways. So I got her trying to talk about how financially screwed she is, how nothing's going her way, how her health was so terrible all the time and she couldn't do it by herself, needing help. Those were the big things.
Somebody in my chat asked, they said, did she make you leave your support system to be closer to hers?
Yes. So I was actually living in Michigan and she was living here in Missouri with her mother, having claimed I was traveling in my car on the road. She was basically just living with her mom. She had just, gone and traveled since she had no bills. But we met on Instagram, and that's when she love bombed me. She mirrored everything that I was looking for, because very early on, she asked me what I was looking for. And like a dumbass empath, I basically just spelled the whole frickin' playbook out right there. What she would do, what she's interested in, what she likes, what her goals are, where she wants to live, everything. And so what we did after a few weeks of talking was we agreed to go live in Arizona together right from the get. And that's when the triangulation began. She separated me from everybody I knew, loved, and I had a great job and everything, good future with them as well. And she got me out there because I had the dumbass perspective as a hopeless romantic, thinking that, true love does exist. This is my moment.
Yeah. So, you get that a lot though, where you unknowingly give them the blueprint to become everything that you ever wanted. It's crazy. So
healthy dating tip. We'll get to that question in a sec. Healthy dating tip. If somebody asks you what you want, give very basic things. Make sure you give them the information that's correct. Look, I'm seeking long-term, healthy, stable relationships. Do not give specific actions. Do not give specific characteristics that you're looking for. If they say something like, describe your ideal man or woman, do not answer the question. Do not ask them the question for theirs either. You should say something healthy, which is what a healthy individual would say, which is, I want to have that list in my head. And I think if we talk to each other and we get to know each other enough, you'll know just by how I respond about stuff and how many things we have in common, whether or not we'll be a good fit. Yeah. So never give the blueprints.
Yeah. That's what I say too. Like if somebody asks you on a first date or second date or whatever, what are you looking for? Like, why is somebody like you single? Give them the most basic responses to that question. Just say, look, I just haven't found the one, you know.
I haven't found somebody who's compatible with my goals and direction.
Yeah, if you go into detail, they, like I said, you give them the blueprint as well, like from the get go, and they can become everything that you ever wanted. And like from the narcissist perspective, like when I'm love bombing somebody, I literally, you know, I feel like I do feel like I'm in love with them. I do feel like I care about them, and that's why I want to become everything that they want. You know, I want to give them everything that they want. I want to become everything that they want and need in a partner. But eventually, it just gets old holding that up. You know what I mean? I'm just like, you know, internally, you just get tired and you want to be yourself. And then, like, when you get into a relationship with somebody and they say something like, "Can we go back to the beginning? Like, it's just different now." In the narcissist brain, when you say that, it's disrespectful to them. It's disrespectful to us.
She got crazy on me.
Yep. Because you don't accept me for who I really am. I'm showing you who I really am now. The love bombing, that's what you wanted. This is who I am. This is what I want to do. And you say, "Can we go back to the beginning?" It's literally the worst.
You don't love me for me. You're not interested in who I really am. You don't know me at all.
Yep. Go back. Yep. Go back to. Like, can we go back to the beginning? Oh, so I'm not good enough for you right now. Bet. Yeah. I got something for you. Let me punish you now. The love and stuff that I was giving to you. Let me reel it back in. And that's when the value phase starts, and that's when like the breadcrumbing or the intermittent reinforcement can begin, because now you are working so hard to get that original person back that I can give you little tidbits of pieces of who I used to be, and you will accept that. Like, oh, I got a hug today. Like you'd be surprised. Like literally,
no, that's exactly how it is.
People will be happy with a hug. They're like he became so distant. He didn't love me. He didn't care for me. He didn't touch me anymore. And then he gave me a hug, and that was it. And I feel so stupid because a hug was enough to keep me around. I was like, damn. And you know,
she would do something stupid in her sleep. Like she would accidentally wake me up by putting her butt against me, which was a natural thing for her, I guess, during sleep. And then also like sticking her feet against me during sleep. And I'm like, that's the only intimacy I've had throughout the last week or two. Otherwise, she's on the complete opposite side of the bed, you know, hiding her phone, texting people. And you know, that's so true though, is that you get to this, they see how far they can take you down. And they got, you know, she got me to the point where like, it was basically, you know, only once I got super pissed off did she know that, you know, once a month she was probably gonna have to give some sort of intimacy, whether it was sex or cuddling or whatever. And the words, the kindness, because physical intimacy, physical touch, and words of affirmation are my love languages, big time.
Okay.
So she knew that telling me that she appreciated me or saying thank you for something was going to fill me with so much joy. I got high off that shit. So she withheld that as much as possible, and everything was now a duty. Everything was, you know, saying I love you was a chore. It was, I'll tell you when I want to.
See, stuff like that. It gets to that point because like the narcissist gets tired of holding up what you want. Now it becomes like it shifts to what the narcissist wants, and what she wanted was to be in complete control of everything. And like you get to that point, and like I said, I think narcissist women are known for using sex as a weapon more than men, because you know women control the access to, you know, physical intimacy and things like that. So I think that the narcissistic women will use sex as a weapon more. And you say you get on the man's perspective, you get a woman with a high sex drive, and you know that's when we can control it. Like that's when we can stop having sex with them to get them on our side, you know, to like use that as a weapon for us. Like, you know, let's just do it. Like, now I'm tired, whatever, you know. But you watch you go watching porn or something like that later on, stuff like that, and then they notice it. Like, you watch. I'm right here with my cheeks out. You don't want the actual cheeks. You want to just watch it.
You know, that was something I've never talked about this in my videos, but that was something that was like one of the deeper daggers that were dug, is when she was in that sex deprivation stage of no intimacy whatsoever. And you know, there were a few different times where I would stop working just to go say hi and see how she's doing and stuff. And I would walk in and she was using a toy and whatnot and doing that. And I was like, wait a minute. You know that I've been like wanting this and craving this galore, and you're doing that without me. Like, you know, I could be down there doing that for you. Or she would purposely walk to the kitchen butt naked and you know, or come like brush a hand across me just to pique that interest. And you know, just across the shoulder. It's nothing crazy, but she would do that in that state, and then all of a sudden I'm just like, why is this not happening?
Yeah.
Why is that not happening? What the hell is going on here? And then you're confused and deprived at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And she started weaponizing that against you because she knows is what you want and needed, you know. And a lot of times, like I can be a very, you know, sexual person, whatnot, but I can control it. You know, it gets to the point where sometimes you get the narcissist that's like a sex addict, and that's when they go out and do the extreme cheating frolics where they are just going crazy. You know, I get one-on-ones with people where they are they know the narcissist is cheating on them. They're like, he's probably cheated on me like 100 times. I was like, what? She's like, but the relationship is not that bad if I don't bring it up. If I don't bring it up, we're good. Like, but the thing
no, you're not.
Yeah, but that's what I told him. Like, the thing that pisses me off the most is the fact that he doesn't want to do it with me. I was like, that's it. I'm like, so that's the line you draw right there. Not, and I told her, I was like, you know, sometimes like I watch a lot of Tony Robbins, and he said you have to break their state because she was getting really, really sad. And I was like, you know, I was like, that's because he's tired from all the cheating. And she just busted out laughing. She was like, that makes sense. You know, she's like, it sucks though. But, you know.
Can you imagine having to keep up? You know, I can't even fathom. It's hard enough for me right now while I'm, you know, talking to people, you know, from Tinder or Bumble or whatever, trying to date. I can't even keep up 3 conversations at once, let alone actually be physically involved with these people at the same time too. I don't know how these people are managing cheating that much. I don't get it. But, you know, it really is just like that, though, where they're, you know, they clearly don't have the energy for what the relationship that they're actually in because they're
even being a narcissist, I can't imagine doing that. I feel like it's just time consuming to cheat now. I'm just like, I got too much going on. And like, I'm a real estate agent. You know what I mean? I have the opportunities to cheat all the time. I'm a real estate agent. I'm always on the go. I just don't see it. I think it gives me more power not to, though. Because it's the access is there, you know, and being the self-aware narcissist somehow turns people on too. You'd be surprised the inboxes I get now, being the self-aware narcissist, which is insane. But like people think because I'm self-aware that I will be easier to deal with, but like it can get worse because I know who I am. You know, I was like, and sometimes
your web. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think you being self-aware could at times make your web deeper. It might make things far more complex. You may have to be even more mentally agile to be able to keep up with the things that are going on here. Because if a narcissist is gaslighting and manipulating, you can sit there and cognitively say with the filter of saying, I'm being gaslighted and manipulated. Now, what do I do about it? But you might go a step further and be like, look, I'm not going to gaslight or manipulate you. You know, this is what I'm actually trying to do. And then you're like, what? You're in Inception and you have to make sense of it now. You're like 4 dreams deep trying to make sense of this.
That's how I describe it too. It's like Inception. It's like so that works against me too, because like even with my wife, I have to try hard. I have to try harder to be honest. I was just like, it's just like I have to try harder to explain the truth to let her know I'm not gaslighting her. You know,
but you know what? You know what's interesting though, Lee? It's never so black and white, which is a thing that BPD is involved with, because my ex did for a while make me think I had BPD. And it's not as black and white as like, it's hard to be honest and hold honesty just because you're a narcissist. Even as a neurotypical, I believe as healthy as I can be and have been for a long time, person, I at times, you know, still have that moral compass to sit there and be like, oh, it is about to be hard to be honest with this right now, but I am going to do that and make that choice because I don't want to lie. That's going to get really crazy if I do that. I'm going to feel bad. My conscience is going to eat me. So even just being neurotypical and whatnot can still be tough to make that honest choice to, you know, say something, because the white lie just makes more sense. You don't want to hurt somebody. So the white lie or you know, that might make you feel a little bit better and you're not going to hurt them and stuff.
Yeah. So I said, somebody asked a question in the chat. They say, "Can you did your ex try to have a baby as soon as possible? Like, was it really, really quick? Did she try to get pregnant?"
So let me go ahead and explain it this way: no and yes. The no, because she did not, to my knowledge, she did not try to have a baby with that guy she cheated on me with. Yes, in the sense of when we moved back from Arizona to Missouri to live in her mom's basement to try to sell our house and then buy a house together locally here, she for a while, she and I decided at one point, after a month long of living in there and fighting constantly, her rage outs were even bigger because now she had more people to have to manipulate and put a show on for. And so she and I sat there and we looked at each other one night and said, look, we're done. And this was the second to last time before I moved her. We got back together. She hoovered me and I moved her in. Anyways, we were living in the basement. We were like, let's separate for good. This isn't healthy. This isn't great. So then we spent three days where I had moved upstairs into the spare bedroom, and she was trying to get into a manipulation phase of saying, you know, this is what you're going to do in your new place. I said, no, fuck you. That's not happening. And so she basically said, that night before she kicked me out of that house, which her mom did not agree with, she basically came over, and when we had basically recently said we were going to separate for good, and she comes over a couple hours later. Meanwhile, I had just started listening to a book of how to recover from a difficult marriage and relationship to try to make sense of this, because I look to my elders, people that have already been there before, to learn how to do it. And so I'm sitting there listening to this book. She comes over, sits on the armrest of the chair from across the room. And she goes, you know what? I don't know if I'm done having kids. And I was like, that's cool, man. Good luck to you. I hope that works out for you and you find a good guy, you know, all that jazz. And she's like, no, like when I want more kids, I don't want it to be with different guys. I want it to be, you know, that way, you know, Ezra, our son, they have the same fathers. And I was like, we just agreed we were going to separate, like, not even 24 hours ago, not even that long ago, and you're asking me if I want to impregnate you. And she goes, well, yeah. And I'm like, give me a second here. So you couldn't lift your own freaking water bottle many days together when we were living in Arizona, not even months ago, and you had little health spits, flare-ups like this weeks ago, and you're trying to tell me that you're going to live on your own, have split custody, work, and be pregnant, and then once the kid's there, how are you planning on taking care of that child and working? How are you planning on us doing this? What do you think? You're just going to hand both of our children off and suddenly I'm going to take care of the newborn? You couldn't breastfeed, you know, you couldn't pump any milk for me to even feed him overnight, my friend. So, and that's no plug against her, but she wasn't producing enough. I offered many times when my son was little to, you know, hey, give me enough for a bottle at night. I will gladly get up, even though I worked a 12 to 17 hour day. I will gladly get up and give you a break because you're so sick and I want to help you and I love you. So anyways, you know, I was like, how do you see this going? How do you see that going? And she's like, well, you know, I haven't worked out all the details. And I'm like, no way. That's a crazy idea. And she's like, this is when the narcissistic rage flips over. The mask is off. The niceness is gone. And she goes, well, fine. You know what? I guess, you know, I had hopes that we were just going to take a break and be separated for like a year or so, and then we could just get back together and be a one big happy family. But clearly you're not on the same path, and you don't want that, Kyle. And I was like, nope, I don't think I want that.
Wow. See stories like that, like, so somebody, I keep saying somebody's like reposting the same comment over and over again. How is co-parenting with her right now for you?
Since the mediator put her deeply in her place, and they had a private conversation as well as a public conversation in front of me. They had two separate conversations. I don't know exactly what was said, but she was crying when they had the second one. You know, he put her in a place deeply. So basically, I believe she got the fear of the judge and, you know, maybe the fear of God, if you believe in that, put in her to basically say, if you keep doing what you're doing, you will lose custody of your son, and that will be it. He will get full custody. The mediator in our mediation said, because he said he read my plea and everything, he knows exactly what I'm in there for. He did not know what she was in there for and what she wanted from mediation. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, he you know, we got to a part where I described a few things, and he goes, and I'm like, I need some security here, Steve, to have some sort of understanding in mind on her end of things, that there are real repercussions if she were to do this again, because I guarantee you, Steve, this is not the last time we're going to see each other. So I need real stuff. And he goes, and mentions the few things that she did. And he looks up at her from his glasses, mind you. He's sternly taking notes, and he looks up at her, and I swear he says it this way: "And she will never do that again. Do you understand me, miss?" And she's crying. She's got crocodile tears and everything, putting on a show. helpless little dainty victim. And she goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, sweet. Finally, something. And so he put some addendums into our court order to prevent her from doing the stuff that she had done in the past. So yeah, that, they're co-parenting with her now. To answer that question, I'm sorry that it took a while, but some stories bring conflict. At this point now, she will make wild accusations, wild assumptions that have no logical correlation with one another on a semi-regular basis. I was getting it daily, multiple times a day. Now I get it once or twice a week, where I field some bullshit. But for the most part, now she's in the mode of keeping the mask on from mediation. It's beginning to fall off, so the old patterns are coming back out. So we'll be back, super deep in it in about 3 months. And she's on her behavior now, but I'm still documenting. I'm still keeping track of stuff. I'm still calling her out through CoParenter, right where everybody can see it, and making sure that it's well known that she's manipulating and trying to take time away from me. And it's not about our son; it's about her. And she still uses my son. So a co-parenting with a female narcissist specifically, this is very huge for them. They will hide behind the guise or the portrayal of this is all about the child. Oh, I need to know who you're involved with, if you're dating anybody, what your home looks like, what your schedule's like, who you're talking to, because it's about the child. No, it's not. Not at all. They will try to use the child in any way, shape, or form to gain as much information about you as possible, and everything. Now, this goes for all narcissists when you co-parent. Every piece of information you share can and will be held against you at all times. They may go through a period of about 1 to 3 months where they keep the mask on and they make you believe that their behavior has changed and they're going to be better. And this is an information gathering period. And what they'll do in this period is they will grow a wealth of information about what you're doing in your life. And if they can time it right, if they find you after 1 to 3 months where you're starting to hit a hard spot in life and you confide in them, "Oh, Lee, I'm having a rough time making the bills, and I was really looking forward to dating this person, blah blah blah. Oh, life is so tough right now." That's when the mask will come off, and then the devaluation and the manipulation and all the other tactics will start to come back out. They will then take all of that information they gathered, and they will start to use it against you. That moment that you may have shared over a video call with them, where you're like, "Check out this new toy I got Billy," and they say, "Oh, that's awesome, that's great." 1 to 3 months later, or whenever the mask comes off, they will then now take that thing that used to be awesome and they cheered you for, and they will use it as a weapon. That is unsafe. You are a bad parent for getting them this toy. You're encouraging them to use guns. You're encouraging violence, all of this stuff. And then the games start to come out.
Wow, that's super powerful. That's super good information. You got a lot of people in the comment section like, "Wow, Kyle is the man." Kyle real as fuck.
If you have questions, I don't care if you follow me or not. I actually I'm not even kidding when I say the fact that I have 14,000 people that follow me makes me sad, because that's 14,000 people who somehow resonate with my story, which is a fucked up story. And I'm sad that you resonate with me on some level. That sucks.
That's kind of the duality of what I face too. You know what I mean? Because I was like, the amount of followers I have now means that people have been touched by what I have going on. You know what I mean? I was like, it's crazy.
Great for you and everything for reaching them. That freaking sucks. That there's
it's crazy. But that's the thing, though. That's the thing right there that I'm trying to eliminate. So you see what I'm doing right now. Like I do the one-on-ones and things like that, but I don't consider myself like a narcissist, like abuse coach or anything like that, because that's not my forte. That's what doesn't matter. That's Sam, that's Allie. That's their forte right there. I'm not a narcissistic abuse coach because like the narcissistic abuse coaches are helping the survivors and victims. They are helping them deal and process with what they are doing. The narcissist, however, is still out there going to create more people, create more victims and things like that. My goal is to get to the narcissist. That's the root cause of everything. If I can reach the narcissist somehow by hurting their feelings, which I'm doing now apparently through my skits, I'm hurting their feelings. I'm making them feel called out. I'm making them feel more stigmatized because I'm one of them. That gets to the root cause. Because if I can get one narcissist into therapy, that could save 3-4 other people from being damaged by that narcissist. That could save the narcissist children from growing up and becoming narcissists, resenting their parents and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm trying to attack the root cause of it. But man, I talk to most of the people I talk to are survivors, but I've talked to like 5, 6, 7 people who think they're narcissists who reach out to me like, hey, I think I'm a narcissist. What's going on? How can I help? I've gotten people in the therapy. I got a message yesterday from a woman, that said I had my first therapy appointment today. I was super nervous. I was nervous, but it's worth it. I'm not gonna lose my family. I get my kid. I'm working hard. I'm in therapy, and they are excited. You see a few other people popping up on here on TikTok that are self-aware narcissists. Why are they doing that? Why do they feel comfortable enough to do that? Because they see my stuff. They're like, I'm a self-aware narcissist. I think that some of them might be doing it because they can get famous off of it or whatever,
Yeah.
But I don't care about the famous stuff because, like I said, I don't need the followers. I mean, I have 2 TikToks. My other TikTok, I have 200,000 over there. I don't need this one to be known for TikTok. But I think some of them might be doing it for fame. Some of them might do it because I hope they're doing it because it helps them get into therapy, it helps them vent, and it might help other people. Because one of the other guys who just popped up, I think his name is Ben Taylor. He's actively his point of view is different because he's actively cheated on his wife. He's open about it. He's like, yeah, I cheated on my wife, and people. I can't talk about stuff like that because I haven't actively done it. He can talk about stuff like that. He can like, why did you cheat on your wife? Right. I'm talking to the victims. I've talked like the most surprising thing about the one-on-ones I've done so far though is the fact that I've talked to so many people who are like on a waiting list for the narcissist, trying to get the narcissist to leave their husband and wife. That's the most surprising thing I've experienced. Like, what are they going to leave their husband and wife? I'm like, yikes. But I'm Planet Fitness, man. I'm a judgment-free zone. Who am I to judge you? I don't judgment-free zone here. Like I said, I want to help as many people. I want to touch as many people as I can. I like your story. I feel like it's one that needs to get out there to so people can see it's not just men. It's just not just like, hey, Lee is a man-hating feminist that's trying to get some ass. I've seen that on TikTok. I've seen that on Instagram. I've seen it on Facebook groups. But before I joined Facebook groups, they were tagging me. They were putting my pictures and stuff in there. Like, this guy is trying to get laid from being a narcissist. Like, bro, I'm
dude. It's not that hard. If that's all you wanted, it's not that hard to do it. It's hookup culture, man. You put on a show for a couple weeks, you're gonna find somebody. It's not that hard. Finding genuine connection is very difficult. But if all you wanted was some booty, then you could go get it easy. Yeah, but exactly. So, the cool thing though is that like at this point in my TikTok journey, which is why I'm taking a break till September, I said when I was starting content, it was actually cathartic for me to be able to. It was almost like my diary and my journal to be able to keep track of stuff as I learn it. I teach it to other people through making a video. And if I help one person escape a narcissist, I'm good. My goal has been attained. I don't, everything else is just a bonus. And I've helped many people through even. I held a live at one point, and this is, if anybody wants to shoot me a Q&A, I don't care if you follow me. I really don't. But if you want to shoot me a question in my Q&A to ask about how to co-parent and stuff, I'm here to be a professional friend for you if you want that. But, in a live, for instance, I had this one girl come in, and she's like, I'm pregnant with this child, and this guy has all these different things. What the hell do I do? And in that moment, we got her to document her entire step-by-step process. What's your situation like? What's your money like? Where are your friends and family? Where do you live? Where do you need to live? What do you have to do? And we walked her through that process to get to the point where she was like, all right, I'm packing my bags. I'm leaving in about a couple hours. And she's free. She had her kid. She's got that guy in jail, and she's moving to Colorado. I don't actively talk to her anymore. But yeah. I watch her story, and she's off and going, man.
That's good. See, that's good. So if you can affect any kind of change, then that's perfect right there. That's more than so many people can say they do. Yeah. And so, which is why, like, on Instagram right now, although I feel like I'm affecting great change in victim survivors and even other narcissists. People say I'm stigmatizing myself. They're like, you're stigmatizing yourself. You make it seem like all narcissists are bad guys. I'm like, if you are a bad guy and this resonates with you, then change. Then go to therapy. Like, stop being like this. And I think people are like, or getting like other narcissists are possibly getting jealous of me because like they see me, I can show my face in public, and my mental disorder is like, and people see it. I literally, I get attacked every day. It's kind of crazy how I get attacked every day. I get attacked by super empaths, supernova empaths, other narcissists, survivors. You know, I just like,
so
it's
crazy. On that whole topic though, the thing that's interesting, and I was this person for a while with this mindset. So if you are somebody out there who's a victim or a survivor, whichever one, it doesn't really matter. But if you view somebody who's got a cluster B personality, which is the psychopath, sociopath, narcissist, or the borderline, then, you know, someone said, so is he proud to be narcissistic? No, I don't think Lee's not, don't let me put words in your mouth.
But I'll answer that for you in a second.
Okay, so my understanding of Lee is that he's not necessarily proud of being a narcissist. He's proud of being aware of the dysfunction / you know, ways in which that he operates, which is just different. We don't view it as bad or terrible human being. You know, he sees himself as, I understand this now enough, and I want to help people, and I also want to understand it well enough so I can correct it. So is he proud of being narcissistic? No, I would say, but he is proud of the fact that he's aware of his behavior, and he's willing and open enough and vulnerable enough, which takes a level of bravery to say, this is this way in which I'm screwed up, and this is the things that I wish people understood about this and my experiences. Hope you can grow from it. It's no different than if we took Lee's NPD and gave him OCD and put him on MTV and said, these are the ways that I'm obsessive and it's really dysfunctional and I just want other people to realize what it's like and what I do. And by showcasing that, other people can be like, well, didn't know I'm OCD, now I do. It's no different than that. He's just got, it's just a mental thing instead of, you know, something OCD that's very visible.
Yeah. So that's actually the perfect way to describe it. So what I would add is I'm proud of who I've become through it now. I can't, like say, I can't get rid of it. It can't go away. There's no medicine for I can't pop a pill to get rid of it. So I might as well kind of steer into the skid. You know, this is my storm I have to deal with. I'm not the same person that walked into this storm. Like, I'm coming out of it differently. I'm affecting change on a great level right now, you know, which is insane. Cause like, you know, in 3 days, it'll be my 1 year anniversary of starting this TikTok page, which is kind of crazy. I mean, cause May 19th, 2020, I was out there in my driveway making my first video saying, hey, my name is Lee. I have narcissistic personality disorder. Like, and you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Cause the goal of my page was to get other narcissists to feel like they were not alone, you know? So like, I have narcissistic personality.
And it was a happy accident too for you that you happened to expose to the people who are, you know, involved with a narcissist, that first of all, you're with a narcissist, and second of all, this is the shit that they do on a regular basis. So that way you can, if you explain, this is one of your biggest things that I learned from you, and these are the videos that I crave and seek from you on a regular basis, which is, if you explain it, like you give a skit of what you're doing and then your thought process behind it, where it's like, if I'm gaslighting you into this thing, it's because I'm insecure about blah, blah, blah. And it's, when you have that understanding, when I look at my ex going to do certain things where she's gaslighting and manipulating, I'm like, I can now look at her not from a place of like above her, but from a place of like levelness, where I can then pity her as a human being and say, you poor hurt soul, that you feel this way inside, that you need to do this. I'm so sad for you. I'm not going to let you do it. Fuck you. But I'm so sad for you that you do that.
Yeah. It's exactly that. I mean, that's the point. Like I said, it was definitely a happy accident, because like that, the funny thing about this, all this is, it's not, I mean, it's not funny, but like, it's kind of comical to me, is the fact that I didn't like, I have narcissistic personality disorder, but I did not know narcissistic abuse was a thing. I had no idea it existed. I had no idea there was survivor groups. I literally had no earthly idea what I was getting into, other than the fact that I wanted to get other people into therapy because of how it helped me. And it just kind of manifested itself into what it is now. And like, I still want to get narcissists into therapy. I want to get people help and change, like to affect positive change in their lives to help kids not turn out like me. You know what I mean? I just don't want people, I don't want my own kids to turn out like me and things like that. So I'm just like, how do I affect change? How did I change? My shit got hurt. My heart got hurt. My wife left, called me a narcissist. I lost my kids. I had a terrible job. I'm super ambitious to a fault. I had a terrible job that I hated. I had no college degree because I had a 3.8, 3.9 GPA in high school, but I didn't go to college because I was lazy. You know, all this stuff was happening to me at the same time. I was like I was a chronic underachiever, and I was blaming everybody else. But in that moment, and I didn't know why I was underachieving, and I was blaming everybody else. But in that moment, that my wife called me a narcissist, and I was like, why did she call me that shit? Like, she could have called me anything else. I looked it up, and I realized it was a personality disorder. That all that shit started to make sense. All the stuff started to fall into place. Oh my God, this is it. This is why. Everything makes sense right now. And I told her that. I mean, of course, it's looking back now, it seems like a Hoover. It seems like me hoovering her back in, like, I'm a narcissist. Come home, please. I go to therapy. You know, what I said. And she ended up coming home. And I didn't go to therapy immediately. I joined Facebook groups. I don't know how to go to therapy. I'm going to join these Facebook groups. And I get in those Facebook groups, and people sound like me. People are talking like me. I was like, but people in there, like the self-worth narcissists, there was in those groups, a lot of them did not care about people. They didn't care about anything. Like I said, it's narcissism. They only care about themselves. And like I said, I'm a diagnosed narcissist. I'm above everybody. These terrible empaths need to get on my level. And so they were talking like that. And I left those. I had to leave those groups. I was like, this is my narcissism kicks in. I'm like, I'm better than these people. I'm the best narcissist. I'm going to prove it. These people can't help me. They are crazy as hell. They want to stay where they are. I need to be ambitious. So I'm gonna turn this into a positive thing. So I got out of those groups. I left the group. I rejoined them now, and it's kind of funny seeing me rejoin these same groups. And like now, I'm like a cult figure to them. Like, you're out in the public eye now. How does it feel? You know, we're still in these groups, like talking negative about people. Like the groups used to only be for narcissists. But now they're like co-mingled with like survivors and empaths, and it's it's weird now. It doesn't feel like I think about starting my own little group again, because these groups now they don't feel the same. You know,
if you do start your group, one thing I would recommend is that you either find some way to give tags so that people can then self-identify. Look, I'm either a victim or I'm just seeking interest. I'm trying to find information. Maybe I tag myself as a narcissist if I'm in there as a narcissist trying to learn more, or sharing perspectives for survivors. Or if I'm a survivor and I'm trying to help victims, or I'm trying to help narcissists go seek therapy and understand what they're doing to their partners, then maybe that can help them all kind of like commingle and be able to understand where this person's coming from. Something that I was going to say earlier was that I used to have this perspective of, my ex is very likely diagnosably NPD. Therefore, anybody who is a narcissist is this bad person, this awful human being. They're going to do these terrible things to people, and they can't be trusted. Kind of just like a sociopath or a psychopath or whatever. And then at one point, something clicked over where I was like, that person, I can't feel that way because Lee and other people that I know that are on some sort of cluster B aren't 100% one way. They're not all evil. They're not all good. There are many times where I could easily be like, man, you know what? I really appreciate that. And I value that part of Lee. That's really awesome. You can value the parts of somebody that has NPD or BPD and say, look, these are really beautiful parts. And then it's up to you to decide if you're if they are in your life, whether it's, the person you're with or it's family and friends. You can say, look, is their downfall, the cost of them having BPD or NPD worthwhile for these amazing characteristics? Because you do have a beautiful way of speaking with people. It's not just because you're a narcissist. That is Lee Hammock. That is who you are as a human being. There are elements that get exacerbated because of NPD, but that's not all who you are. Not everything you say and do is straight from NPD. It is a piece of who you are. So the thing that people have to realize is that this is a piece of who somebody is. You wouldn't look at somebody with OCD. I keep coming back to that because it's so out there at this point.
Yeah.
You wouldn't look at somebody with OCD and say, oh, they're a terrible person that has no time management because they have OCD and they've got all these bad things about them. They're not worth talking to. No, that's not how it works. You say they're very particular about stuff. The way in which they're particular about stuff is not so bad to where I'm willing to not be their friend because they're particular. You just adapt and you accept that, and then you appreciate them as a human being, and you support them if they go get help. So that's one of the big things for people to transition from victim to survivor is to understand, look, you need to be able to see this person. There are elements of my ex that are good elements. I don't see very many of them from my experiences, but that doesn't mean that other people, like that guy I met in the gym, he said, I still think very highly of her. And I was like, I don't know how the hell you can think that, but clearly your experiences were not as bad as mine, and that's good. I was happy for him. I was like, at least you didn't have that experience like I did. Thank God you never got her pregnant. But you know, the points I'm making is that you can't just, it's a very black and white thing. That's something that comes with borderline personality, is that everything's black and white. Everything, you're either with me or against me. You can't have that thinking when it comes to people with narcissism or a cluster B. You have to be able to see, where are the good things? Where are the bad things? What is NPD and what is just their personality, which it might be exacerbated by NPD. Yeah. So that's really important to understand with people. You can't just, villainize them.
Yeah, I mean that's a great way of putting everything about it. Like I said, because people, I think one of the questions I get all the time, like, do you think narcissists deserve love from people? I truly believe that narcissists deserve love.
Yeah,
but not if they are abusing you, not if they are hurting you, not if they are gaslighting you and holding you back from living your true existence, your true life. Like, I get so many people. Let me say, where's she at? Give me 1 second. Shama, I can't pronounce your name correctly. Hey, girl, I see you in the comment section. Thank you. I had a one-on-one with her the other day. She's from Thailand, dealing with it's worldwide.
It's the human condition.
Yeah, exactly. And I think people. I've talked to so many people about in Australia, Ireland, Thailand. It's crazy at the reach of it. How narcissism are going. It's just out there. You know what I mean? I really think empaths.
We have to remember that narcissism. No, it's okay. We have to remember that the reason why this is something that's worldwide and transcends cultures and languages and everything else is because this is a learned psychological survival mechanism built in, just like the whole ketosis thing for dieting and exercise. It's naturally baked into the human genome and body to understand that. NPD, if you push a human far enough, there's a lot of things that are possible. If you go down a specific path with a human being to either train them through a narcissistic person in their lives, typically, a parental role, or give them a traumatic event that causes that survival mechanism to kick in, then it's going to happen. It doesn't matter where you are in the world.
Yeah,
it's a survival mechanism.
So somebody asks, have you ever dealt with the trauma bond? Like, you feel like you had to get through the trauma bond? And how did you get through it? Because that's a question I get a lot, because I can't, I don't know how to get over the trauma bond. I know how to instill it because, but I don't know how to get over it.
Okay, so there were a few different ways that I had a massive trauma bond, which is why she was able to. A person without a trauma bond should not be capable of being hoovered. If you are being hoovered and it's possible and they're reeling you in, there is still some form of a trauma bond there. That needs to be removed. The way that I removed my trauma bond, once I understood what it was and that I had one that was very strong, was I fasted from communications from her as hardcore as possible. And I took almost a very extreme different perspective to be able to keep myself as secluded from that, just like a drug addict would be secluded in rehab from that substance. It is no different neurochemically than when you are addicted to a substance. It is not a substance. Your cocaine is the narcissist. And if you do not keep the cocaine away from you, you will continue to get little bumps from their bullshit and what they do to keep you reeled in and keep you addicted. They're the drug dealer and the drug itself. So the way to get over the trauma bond is that you're going to have to dig deep into one of the natural human conditions, which is right in line with eating and making babies and making shelters and all of this stuff that has been done for so long as we've existed, which is storytelling and sharing experiences in a community. You need to find about 3 people who have an understanding of what you have been through, where have you been at, and then you need to connect with them and you need to glue yourself to them if they are willing. And there's a safe supportive system, that's a whole different topic, but you need to glue yourself to these 3 people. So that way, anytime you want to communicate with that toxic person that you're still so trauma bonded to, until that feeling goes away, you reach out to these people. And you can even do something like one of my great friends on here, Caitlin. She's got 36,000 people that follow her. Caitlin and I talked for the last year. We pretty much were side by side. When I was weak, I called her and she was strong. When she was weak and crying, and we both cried at the times, and she would be weak and crying and she would call me. I would be strong. And we would lift each other all the way through, back and forth, just, frog hopping. And you need to find people like that. You guys need to find your Caitlin, or, from her perspective, your Kyle, that are willing to talk to you and be there and listen to the stories. You might have to tell a story 30 different times to 30 different people. It doesn't matter how long it takes, but until that trauma bond is gone, the addiction to that bond and that feeling to that person is gone, you have to continue to build other connections in communities around you or from afar, and talk to people that are about that. If you need to send a text message or whatever to your narcissist, you want to say something to your narcissist, send it to somebody else.
See, that right there, that's exactly. So when I do one-on-ones with people that I feel like are really trauma bonded, I just tell them, just add me, follow me on TikTok, send me a message, I'll follow you back, and whatever you need to send to the other person, send it to me. Because I'll respond to you, I'll hype you up and do whatever. You know what I mean? Because if you send that message to them, you have to get it out of your system. If you send that message to them, you're setting yourself back so far. Send it to me. Whatever you need to send to them. I've had people try to pay me to scream at me on live. I can't do that. But it's like, can I do a one-on-one with you? I just scream at you the whole time. I'm like, no, I can't do that.
And that's one of those more emotionally charged situations that those people genuinely need to find somebody ASAP. If that energy, can you imagine that energy being stuck inside, that you need to scream at somebody and it needs to come out? And if you don't get to scream at somebody, you're just going to be a loose cannon. That person needs to go see somebody and scream. And so, I'm sorry to have interrupted you, Lee, but
you good, man. The people, they know my story. They didn't hear yours. Tell them.
Yeah. So when you have those pent up, I've had friends call me that are really, really, at a really late time or really out of the blue, and they're frantic. And I know that at that point, I've got to listen to what they've got going on. And you need to find people that are also going to validate you. So one big thing that people always talk about, I see it commented on your stuff all the time, and people used to say it a bunch to me, is, how do I get closure? Because don't get it twisted. If you hear my story about talking to the guy who she cheated on me with, or hearing her say certain things, because I got a small bit of closure at an exchange one day where she said some stuff, which was actually a Hoover attempt. She gave me closure by accident to try to gain trust. I got that stuff. But do not ever for a second even tease yourself with the idea of, oh, I might get that too. No, don't fucking believe it. If you get it, that is a gift, and that is going to come at you randomly, but do not ever expect it. You'll never get that closure. You yourself have to give yourself the closure, because you're not going to get it. And the funny thing about it is, when I got closure from that guy at the gym, I already had the closure that I needed to move on. He just added on to it and gave me that piece of the closure that I was missing. So a big thing for people that they need to realize is that you as a survivor are gonna have to do a lot of legwork yourself. And if you haven't introduced this to your people, I want to give you a tool that you can introduce that to them that's really transformative. And I've talked to people a bunch, and this is a concept that sometimes people are reluctant to adopt right away, but once you do it the first couple times, this is what pulled me out of my horrid crying in the hammock, just absolutely trauma bonded galore kind of feeling. I have this thing, and my therapist actually told me that it's a real thing. I forget the real name of it, but I told him, I said, I do this thing that I call having tea, which is I'm having this thought come up, and your brain will naturally do this during sleep, and we call it nightmares. You have this experience night after night after night where your brain brings up this experience, and you need to relive it. And what your brain actually wants to do in that moment is reframe that, find some sort of positive to take away this, extract this really traumatic part of it, and replace it with this really good part, or an okay, acceptable part, that then allows you to kind of move past it. Your brain naturally wants to have this nightmare and have this kind of like injected memory that will allow it to then pack it away and say, okay, I am now done with that. What I do as a technique is called having tea. If you have something, I'm getting chills because it fucked my brain up really in a good way when I did it. But this is no different than if somebody came to my apartment door right now and went, knock, knock, knock. That's you about to have anxiety and having a panic attack because you're having you have this trigger that goes off. Let's say a male coworker, if you had a male narcissist, is like yelling at you and it triggers you because that's what your narcissist used to do to you. You need to welcome that emotion and experience in as if it was a person at your door. Okay, and say, who are you? What are you? What did I go through? You sit down, you make it tea, and you look at it as this perspective of, as if it's a human being. That one experience and all the emotions attached are a separate human being. You sit down and you say, well, what happened when you were going through that? What did you feel? What was that like? Why do you think that happened? Keep asking the question, why? Why did they do that? Why did you feel that way? What could you have done differently? And that's the nugget that you take away from this experience. You take the what could I have done differently, and you say, okay, in the future, this is something I can look out for. But then you go back to having tea with that emotional experience, and you say, okay, well, what else? Well, what else? Why? What else? Why? And eventually, you get to a point where you're exhausted. Oh my God, is it exhausting? You might be crying profusely. You might be just so drained and need to sleep afterwards. You might be hungry or thirsty. And then that emotional experience leaves. They go out the door. But keep in mind, if that trigger may not be fully gone. They may come knocking at the door, and you're going to open that door. It's the same trigger, and you say, I dealt with you. What are you back for? I dealt with you. But then you say, get in here. Come on. What now? What is it about that event that I did not get to in that last experience? Why? What is it? What do you want this time? And you'll relive a different moment. You'll relive it a different way. Your brain's still recalling it. But now it's if you remember that first instance you had, or whatever instance it was, let's say it's the second time they show up. That first instance is now what you're recalling. It's a changed experience, right? And now you're having tea with it, and you're saying, okay, well, what happened? Why? What could I have done differently? Oh, what could I do? What could I do in the future when it comes to people? Is that only with toxic people, or is this a broad thing that I can use with everybody? And you have tea with it. Go through the same process. It goes away. Bye. I'm done with you. And it happens again, right? And this keeps happening depending on how deep the trauma is. The more times they'll keep coming knocking, right? And each time, after a while, it's just like exercising and losing weight. After a while, you start thinking, wait a second, I don't feel as triggered anymore. Now I'm a little bit anxious about that. Now when my coworker yells at me, I feel a little uncomfortable, but I'm not triggered. I'm not going out back having a panic attack. Now I can deal with that. Get in here. Come here. There's one more thing. Now you're excited. Now you can sit there and say, hey, what's this last thing that I need to know about this experience? And you have tea with it. And then you let it go. And you're like, that's fine. You want to come back? We'll have tea and I'll learn about you again. But here's the transformative moment. I hope you get chills when you hear this. But what will happen after X amount of times, again, depending if it's a really deep, really bad trauma, increase the amount of times that memory is going to come a knocking. After a while, you're going to start to say, you'll get 6 months later, 9 months later, 1 year later, and you're going to say, I haven't heard from that memory in a while. It's gone. That I used to be triggered by that, and it's gone. What happened? And it's because you had tea with that memory, that experience, that you did the internal work. They call it, shadow work, or stuff like that, where you went inside and you had tea with that feeling, that experience. And you can do this for your inner child too, if you've got a damaged childhood, where, you know, and that's whether you're, you know, you've got a mental problem or you're just, you know, neurotypical or whatever, you can go back and have these experiences and have tea with it, and you can reframe it. That's the brain's natural desire. You just need to have the tools to understand it. So I hope that if one of you understand this and you go to do this at one point, please tell me about your experience, tell Lee about your experience, but share this with your people when you know somebody needs to go and understand that they have to keep revisiting this. It's not going to go away. You can't drink enough. You can't smoke enough. You can't drug enough. You can't, you know, your therapist may not know to pull this shit out. They may not get it. My therapist was not aggressive. He said, I'm very gentle. I'm not going to go in here and drill you constantly because that's not my style. Okay, Stuart, no problem. You understand where this all comes from, and it comes from inside. You're going to have tea with this. And I'm telling you right now, I've been outside of that narcissistic relationship for a year. I still co-parent with her. I would say at this point, my journey is very much so 80%, and it's never done. So this 80% is bullshit. But yeah. I've gotten through a lot of the worst parts. And at this point now, I still to this day have tea with those memories. I will stop and dissociate in the middle of doing something, and I'll freeze, and my brain, you know, my experience leaves my body, and I'm just frozen there doing dishes, frozen, seriously. And I'll go have tea with that experience again. And it may come back. This is the messed up thing. I'm only a year out. 3 years from now, let's say I'm in a happy relationship and everything's good. So they might say something that triggers me, and that memory comes a knocking. And this is why I call myself on a healing journey, because it's never done. And you may have that come knocking, and you'll say, come here, fucker, I know you. Come sit down. Why is this experience? What is it about? You know, this is what I'm going through now. Tell me from your past experience, recollection, you know, pulling the memory up. What's similar about this? What can I understand about this to be able to make it through this moment and just get one step further? Because that's what happens when you're in the tornado of being with a narcissist. You need to keep in mind, this is trying to do a long trek through an Atlantic, you know, mega snowstorm. You only have 2 feet in front of you to see. You don't know where you're headed. You just know you want the fuck out. So keep making, what's the next step forward? There it is. What's the next step forward? There it is. This is starting to feel good. What's the next step forward? Boop. Oh, I see a footprint from the past. I'm going the wrong way. And this is how it works. You need to have these analogies to understand it's not always going to be forward. You're going to fall back. Mm-hmm. But I hope that having tea analogy helps at least one of you to understand. You're going to have that skill. Do it with normal people. Do it with your narcissistic abuser. Do whatever. You might have a bad experience at work today and have to be like, man, I'm going to have to go sit and have tea with that you know, that whole situation. I need to digest it. So that's my long rant.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of people over here like clapping and stuff like that. It said, what did you say? Somebody said, I'm going to need a lot of tea.
You and me both.
Yeah, so I'm going to need tons of tea.
Keep in mind when you do that, like the best thing you can do is you can also develop what I would call, and I'm making this up right now, but I know that it's real for me. You can develop your own tea room. You know, let's say you've got a really supportive partner now, and part of your tea room is that you've got your partner there to talk it out, and they're just there to listen. And you tell your partner, you give them the knowledge. Don't expect them to mind read. That's bullshit. Tell them, look, I just need you to sit here, and I'm going to talk aloud. And all I want you to do, honestly, is just say, you know, wow, you know, and just have little tidbits of being validated, which is like, wow, dude, that is so, I can't imagine going through that. Wow. You went through that? What else happened? They can even play the role of saying, and this is if you have a really loving partner to do it with, this is a gift to you. You know, they can even ask you, well, how did you feel during that moment? What was that like? You know, why did that happen? Why do you think they did that? What's the best rationality your brain can come up with? Okay, well, you know, what if you find yourself in a situation like that in the future? What do you think you could do about that? And just tell them, like, look, you're first of all going to need to be very non-judgmental. You're going to have to be really gentle, and you can even give them a script. These are the only 6 things that you're allowed to say. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I can't imagine what that was like to go through. Mm-hmm. You know how profound for survivors that is, just to hear that? God, I'm so sorry for what you had been through with them. You absolutely did not deserve that. I really can't believe that somebody would actually do that. I'm so sorry for you. I'm so sad that that happened to you.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. I'm dead serious. Somebody said, can you ask him if I can message him? I'm doing all I
Yes.
can not for to get hurt from this. He said yes, you can message him. And
Yeah.
also,
So,
no, go ahead. Sorry.
you folks that are out there, and Lee, you're welcome to tell people this. If you view the world, and I'm a huge philosopher kind of person. Hey, Darcy, I'm a huge philosopher type person where I love listening to the Stoics. So I love analogies. They're beautiful. I think they take from things you already understand and apply them to the current moment. You can think of me as a lighthouse in the ocean if you're wandering and you don't know where you need to go. Okay, I am here if you need that direction from afar and you're just like, I get what you're saying, but I don't need to stop off and take a break. I have people, my friend Caitlin, her and I have talked for a year straight, being best friends. We'd send messages constantly, day in and day out. We are now at a state where we don't talk really much other than maybe a weekly recap of how life is going. I've had people message me and we talk intensively for a week straight, and they're off and they're gone and I never hear from them again. And that is totally okay. I am a person who I'm a lighthouse. I will talk to you when my cup is full and I have enough to flow over because I have a lot of love to give and I want to be able to share that with you. So if my cup is full and I can give you that love and attention and validation, I will. And the other thing about that is that I'm not a person that I'm going to sit here and say, like, look, you can only talk to me for, 30 minutes and then I'm going to freaking charge you, whatever. That's not how it works. I'm here to be a friend, whether you need me for a day, whether you need me for an hour. Sometimes all you need is a brief little intervention of what, being validated and heard and give you a strategy within a half hour. And then you're off. Bye. Have a great life. I'm here if you need me again. I'm here in the ocean, always there for you to access if you need me. Because it's honestly just like that. And you're going to find a lot of different people that are lighthouses. Lee is, in fact, a lighthouse. He's just got a different color light that is out there for you to experience different things. It's got different refreshments in it to be able to feel refreshed and things to understand and a different viewpoint to see the ocean with, right? A therapist is no different. They might just be a much broader lighthouse because they have a better toolkit to be able to help you. So do not think that there's going to be a one size fits all or a one destination to be able to solve your situation. It is all, you are all on a healing journey. And hey, Alicia, so happy to see you in here. And yeah, seriously, guys, feel free to hit me up in a Q&A, hit me up with a message request. If you can't get through to me and it says you can't message me, tell me to follow you in a comment. You want to talk, I'm here. I'll get back to you when I can. Nothing but love for you guys.
Yeah, so that's good right there, man. Like I said, you got a lot of people over here loving that lighthouse analogy. They said, I'm a lighthouse too.
Just because Lee has NPD does not mean that he can't also be a chosen light worker. He can also be a dark worker. If he wants to manipulate and do things that go along with NPD, yes, he could. But light workers come in a lot of different forms. Keep that in mind. A lighthouse person, people that are there, empaths, deep empaths, can be there for people, and they're a lighthouse. And sometimes the big thing is just to remember, if you're a light worker and you're helping people and you're a lighthouse for others, make sure that your light stays on by taking care of yourself, because you got to learn boundaries. You got to be able to say, look, I don't have the energy for this right now. It's very intense. That story's really intense for me to take in, because when I listen to people, I will take in your emotions and your experiences, and I'm drained afterwards. So I may not get to you right away, but, continue being a light worker. Recognize where your cup's at.
Yeah, that's exactly true, though. Like I said, that's always been my goal. I just want to bring awareness to what I'm going through. Yeah. And like this, like I said, I get crazy in this. It's insane how much craziness I get. You know what I mean? I'm a sensitive empath. I can relate. Yeah. So a lot of stuff is like, I don't know. Somebody asked me a question. I saw it a few minutes ago. I wanted to respond to it, but it goes really, really quick when people are talking. But I think
a lot of people in your stuff.
Yeah, it gets overwhelming sometimes. But like I said, I get a lot of people. I think when you like on your healing journey right now, what stage do you think you're at right now? 'Cause I know a lot of people are just now getting started and they want to be where you are right now. They're like, people are like, I wish I was at his level right now. And I think a lot of people get caught up. Gabby, what's going on, Gabby? Gabby Glow Up is in the building.
Gabby Glow Up.
Yeah. I think people, a lot of times when people first begin their healing journey, when they're on day 1, day 2, week 1, they want to rush their healing to get to the point where you are right now to be able to have tea with themselves. I think a lot of people, the thought of having tea with themselves is terrifying. Like I thought about it, like, man, I'm not doing it. Because I know I got some shit. I got some shit I got to deal with. You know what I mean?
Pause real quick. Yeah. So pause on that concept real quick, because if people don't understand that you are going to, at first, this is super awkward. At first, this can be very painful. At first, it can be really scary. But the thing about being brave, and you are all brave, don't get it twisted. I will fricking call you personally on a video call and tell you to your damn face that you're brave, because if you're capable of surviving the narcissistic abuse, you are fucking brave. So you have the bravery. If you can withstand that bullshit, you have the bravery to be able to sit with those thoughts and that tea and just be gentle with yourself. If you do it the first time, remember and tell yourself the first time is the most traumatic it will ever be for you, and subsequent visits from that having tea on that specific memory will be lesser. I'm getting chills again because that's how it was for me, and it's been that way with every time that I go through it. Let's say I have tea with a specific experience, and I get it to the point where I'm like, whoa, it's gone, and I haven't heard from it. Guess what? If I have tea about a different experience, I'm at ground zero. It's just as traumatic and as an intense, because I'm reopening that wound so that way I can put good stuff into it and heal it, and it's doing that over and over again. Technically, I do the same thing as a software developer. I start off from brand new scratch when I learn a new language as well, and it's just as horrible, it's just as scary, and it's just as difficult. But that's how life is. It's with that, when you start a new job, you're scared, but you do it anyways. You can be terrified, but you do it anyways. You might be crying horrifically. Do it anyways. Do it anyways. Yeah. Begin the process, but give yourself enough of a break afterwards. You might take a week before you come back to it again, and that's okay. And maybe the memory comes in a day later and forces you to have tea, and you're not ready. Do it anyways. Yeah. Sit down with it anyways. If you end up at the end of a marathon being chronically exhausted with splinters and a messed up foot because you went through something horrible and you did that, the analogy I'm using is someone's forcing you to run a marathon when you didn't want to. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, do it anyways, because I promise you that the bounty at the end of doing it is so much more beautiful. I have been alone in St. Louis for a year straight, and I've dated somebody for 2 months of this. So I've been alone otherwise, and I'm fine. I'm happy. And yet I'm isolated. Let that sink in. It is worth it on this side.
Happy and isolated. That's not something you ever hear when you dealing with narcissistic abuse. I love it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I love it. You know what I mean? Like I said, because you're at the point now where I know a lot of people want to be. Like, so I have people in the comment sections like, I'm terrified of reliving it. Shadow work is like role play. You think shadow work is like role play? Would you consider that? I don't know what shadow work is. I can't answer this question. I don't know what shadow work is.
That shadow work is highly contextual. It depends. And I hate to say that, but this is, if everybody wants to be where I'm at, you're going to have to also swallow the hard truth of, you're not me. You didn't go through the abuse the same way that I did. You might share similarities. You might be able to heal in those ways and take from me and whatnot in those ways. You might be able to use my tea analogy, and then everything else I say is bullshit to you. But you need to understand that your journey is unique. What you're hemorrhaging from first may not have been the same thing I was hemorrhaging from. That biggest wound, the worst thing that you experienced, may not be being hit. It may not be being cheated on. It may not be having to drive your car for 3 days because you got separated and having to be distanced from your son and not being able to, having to fight for custody. Your experience is not my experience. Let yours be beautiful and learn from mine as much as you can. But you will not get to the same place I'm at. You will get to the place that you yourself need to be. Your own beautiful end of the road kind of beautiful experience. Just because I want to live in a tiny home does not mean that anybody else should. That's the same analogy of you healing. You may want to be in a bigger house, and your process of getting to that bigger house looks different than mine, but we both end up being very happy and very fulfilled. So just recognize that your process may look ugly. And if somebody gives you a step-by-step process, that's not how it goes, dude. But I will tell you that there's a very broad way of how this all pans out. You realize that the person's not good for you. You decide to break it off from the narcissist. You go low contact if you've got kids. You go no contact if you don't. You start to get your own place. You gather your finances. You change everything over. Like, there are some things that are very congruent. It goes the same way every time. But then there are other things that are very personalized.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what I was saying. I think people, like, I have no idea what shadow work is, anything like that. Because I was like,
so shadow work is another word for, it's of the family of introspection, if that helps you understand it. But shadow work specifically, if you get on that side of TikTok, they will talk about, handling demons from your past. They will talk about dealing with your inner child that was never loved. There are some really intriguing things that you can find through getting on shadow work TikTok. And it all deals with going inside and dealing with the things that hold you back from flying as hardcore as you could. That's all it means. And that's the same as introspection. Therapy could also be seen as that. A loving friend is the same way, but it's all about going inside.
All right. So I had a question here, like,
yes.
Dating, somebody asked, is it hard to date after the narcissist? You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes, it's very difficult to date after the narcissist. It's difficult because when you properly go through the process of having tea and you understand, you've listened to the audiobooks, which I can list off for you guys if you need them. And you listen to, a bunch of different other things, and you do the work, and you sit with yourself and you work on healing yourself and the ways that you're triggered, and, go through all that process. You start to see people who you're dating a little bit differently. You might find yourself being among the entrepreneurial type, which is a little more isolated because now you're trying to do something extraordinary. Now you're trying to do something that the everyday person is not equipped to handle. And you are going to have to understand that you can have everyday people who know nothing about you going through narcissistic abuse, but they do not want to have a growth mindset. They do not want to have healthy communication where you broadly and speak openly and honestly about your feelings. You do not run into a lot of people. I've run into females while dating that have literally told me that the way in which I speak about my emotions and my desires and my aspirations and whatnot, all of those, setting a boundary early, the way I speak about that stuff is intimidating to them. You will run into that. Wow. I'm no better than them. I see myself as equal. Whether I'm talking to Obama or I'm talking to a homeless dude who's cracked out of his mind, I will approach you as an equal of the same place. I will greet both of them and say, "What's up, dude?" I don't see people as above or below. We are all humans having a human experience, and I will treat with the same love until you give me a reason not to, or a reason to increase that. But the thing is that, like, you run into a lot of people who are damaged from different things, and they may not want to deal with that. And after you go through the process of dealing with all of the narcissistic abuse, you may find yourself, the word that comes to mind is jaded, but if you're healthy about it, it's kind of just like an acceptance of the fact that a lot of people aren't going to understand where you're now at. You're now in a part of the ocean that doesn't have too many people rowing around in that part. Just like the entrepreneurs, they're pushing so hard and they're working so hard. A lot of people don't understand why are you working so much? Why are you pushing so hard for this thing that you want so bad? I don't get it, man. I don't want to be friends. Why do you explain your emotions so much? Why do you place this boundary on going out and needing time to yourself? I don't get that. I don't want to be friends. And people will see that as intimidating. it is your job to understand that when people approach you like that, you have to have this confidence that comes along with doing that shadow work to say, you know what, for the right person, I am enough. For the right person that understands these things and has enough emotional and intellectual maturity in life, who have gone through a similar or same experience, enough to be able to grasp what you're saying. That's all you need. Enough to grasp it and empathize. Then that will be worth it. That'll be worth that time.
That's the perfect description right there. Like I said, you know, do people with NPD have issues being asked questions? It depends on the question. If there's a question that benefits me, no, hell no. If it's a question that's going to damage me, then yeah, you know.
If you're going to ask,
no, go, you got it.
If you're going to ask a narcissist a question that could potentially make them have to, here's the difference. If you ask a neurotypical person, if you ask me what your greatest flaw is, or tell me about a time where something was really awful in your life, I will tell you with sadness and experiencing it, and I will explain it to you, because even though it puts me in a really bad light, like when I left my ex while she was pregnant, from the pregnancy months of 3 to 7 months, a narcissist won't tell you that. If you expose that even happened, oh no, off limits, deflect, you know, put it back on you. They won't answer that. They don't want to put themselves out there in a position that will make them look very human, like they're capable of fucking up, like they're capable of having this area in their life where you know, they're not that great about it and they need to do some work on it. That's the difference between your neurotypical and your narcissist.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's deep and probing and they get uncomfortable, they are not necessarily a narcissist, but they may not be emotionally ready for what you're looking for, even if it's friendship, people.
Yeah, exactly. But Kyle, I gotta hop over here, man. My wife is blowing. That's why I keep looking down. My wife is blowing my other phone up. Okay. I really, really appreciate it. Look, if y'all, because some people asked to list the books that you were talking about. So if y'all have any questions about the books, follow Kyle. He's like an open book. He'll message you back. He said he'll message you back and respond to any questions you have. Like I said, I can't answer a lot of the questions that people ask about the trauma. This is a living, breathing example of somebody who has been through it and is coming out of the other side of the storm of narcissism. You know, from a woman, a narcissistic woman, co-parenting. You know, setting boundaries, trauma bond, you see the shadow work, everything that Cal has been through and said, like, it's truly, truly amazing. You got so many comments over here, like, this is an awesome live. You know, it was just like this is why I've been silent a lot. I'm learning, you know.
You ran out. We didn't get to talk about, you know. Yeah, we didn't get to talk about a lot of different stuff, which I would love to expose to your people. Yeah. So if you wouldn't mind us doing this again sometime in the next couple months, that'd be great.
Dude, yes. Trust me, yes. There's so much, like, I didn't realize we've been talking for 2 hours. This has been going.
I didn't either. I got to get my son soon, so I get it.
I looked down, I was like, damn, it's almost 7:30. That's why she gave text, man. Like, why she text, man? I just got started. So it's been, like I said, it's been an amazing live. So many questions answered, man. Like, I'm really, really appreciating. Like, we got to do this again pretty soon. You know, like, I'm trying to do this every Sunday and things like that. So we're definitely going to have you back on here. Like, if y'all have any questions, that, you know, co-parenting, anything, on a healing journey, Mr. Kyle over here is just like, shoot him a message, follow him, and things like that. And yeah, I think Random Health, he said he's still processing a lot of stuff he's going through now. Like, he's not completely healed or on the other side yet, because he still has, you know, he has to co-parent with it. And Gabby, the Gabby Glow Up is in the comment section. We love you too, Gabby. Thank you so much for Gabby had an amazing story last week. It's on my YouTube channel.
Beautiful human being. Go follow her too.
Yes, definitely. But anyways, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Kyle, appreciate it. Like, follow Kyle if you have any questions about that. And
thanks everybody.
Thank y'all. Peace out.
Peace.
All right, Kyle. Appreciate it, man.